Hello and welcome! I'm going to talk about the Hanwei Oni Katana, one of my personal favorites, made by the company of Hanwei in the land of China, where they make katanas and other stuff. Anyway, here's some words. You should pause and read them. It basically says I don't know what I'm talking about, so take it as an opinion and not as fact, unless you're stupid, and then whatever. It doesn't really matter. I could tell you to eat the laptop you're watching it on, and it wouldn't really matter, right? Because you're stupid, but you're not stupid. You're smart, and you click the right button, and you want to laugh at this. Hooray! Moving on. The katana itself is a black-on-black theme with some black and some more blacky black. The other part that makes it cool is all these damn demon faces that are everywhere. They're on the Koshirae. This is the one there, and it looks, I can just imagine doing some sort of move where you crack somebody in the skull with it. And then they'd have a little demon face, and their mother would be like, "Why do you have a demon face on your forehead?" And they'd be like, "I got hit in the face with a katana, it hurts super bad." And they'd be like, "Well, you probably deserve it. Ha ha for you. You're stupid." Here's the Fuchi. The Fuchi has part of a demon face on it. I guess the Fuchi was either too small and they cut part of his face off, or they intended to do it that way. I don't really know. And I don't know if it's an angry demon face or a constipated demon face. It's really difficult for me to tell. My constipated face looks very similar to the demon on the Fuchi. Grrr, squirt. This right here is the large black dildo, Tsuka. Well, it's not really a big black dildo, but it could double as one, depending on how you swing. The point is that the handle is kind of axe-shaped, and is the same shape that everyone seems to complain about with Hanwei pieces. It lacks finesse, prowess, and figuresqueness. That's not really a word, but the point is that it doesn't really have the shape that you might hope it would. Subsequently, I've found that these pieces aren't exactly more durable just because they're thicker. They seem to break just about as easily as anything else does. Still, none of that is a surprise. It's pretty much consistent with most Hanwei katanas. The Manuki on this blade don't pop out overly too much, but they do pop. I don't know why there's like a little dancing man here, but I would like to see some demon faces like this. Or, I don't know, something more demonic anyway than some little dancing guy that's hard to make out. Or, you could go with a giant-ass demon face like this too. The options are endless, if you know what I mean. Bitch and moan as I do, I still like the overall theme of the fittings. The Kurigata is one of my favorites. I like this little demon face. I put it upside down so it's even more demonic. Actually, that wasn't intentional. I'm just not very good at video editing. The demon face on this thing, I don't know, this one detail makes it for me. I think this is one of the coolest parts of this sword, is that the Kurigata has a little angry demon face, and this one doesn't look as constipated. It legit looks pissed. The Habaki is also very similar to other Hanwei products. It has a rainfall pattern that you see commonly on some of the nicer pieces from Hanwei. I don't know why they couldn't make it out of like vampire teeth or a pooping demon or something like that, but it is made at least of silver, and it seems to mesh well with the katana overall. As I stated, the saya is ribbed for her pleasure, or your pleasure, or everyone's pleasure, who knows. But it's overall nice. It's a gloss black. Shows fingerprints very easily, has some horn parts. Honestly, the end of the saya, I would like to see like maybe some demon faces there. I don't know, more metal parts. The Suba as well also has one of those demons on it, but it's not quite demonic-y enough. I'd like to see some more demon faces on it. Also, it looks a little bit like the demon stole a baby's rattle and has a sword. I don't know. It flows. It's not terrible, but really, it's not quite the same type of awesomeness that I'd hope for the rest of the katana. You see what I mean? He's probably not holding a rattle, but I don't know. It kind of looks like he's like, "I got a rattle. Screw you, baby!" And nobody wants to steal a rattle from a baby. It's just not cool. Maybe it's a drumstick or something, and he's like, "I got a turkey drum. Suck on that." But that's not very demonic as much as it is dickish. If I go to the other side of the Suba, it's just not done. I'm sure that's historic or has some sort of relevance that I don't quite understand, but the point is that it just looks like it wasn't done. Enough about our clothes, let's move on to the pokey stabby part. In my experience, they've weighed somewhere between 3 pounds 1 ounce and 3 pounds 4 ounces. The blade is large, and that much should be apparent from its largeness shown in the photos. It has a similar geometry to other Hanwei XL style profile blade. I've owned more than a few of these katana, and I found the shapes across them to be very similar. However, some of them have some distinct variations in the texture of the polish. Some of the textures are relatively smooth. Smooth. That's the word I'm looking for. Some of them have been smooth, and they show banding, or the Banite structures, or something in the steel. I'm not a goddamn metallurgist, so I don't know what the fuck they are. Some of them have been rough, like the one in this picture. Rough, just the way your mother likes it, Trebek. More specifically, what I mean by rough is that they have a tactile or textural sensation as you run your hand along the shinogi. There have been reports of others having a different hamon, an Atori hamon versus a Saguha hamon, which is commonly shown in most of these blades. As for the pokey part, or the kasaki as it's commonly referred to by people that know what the word kasaki means, I call it the pokey pointy part. Anyway, the pokey pointy part doesn't have a whole lot of definition. Ideally, you see some sort of yakote, or some more crisp definition. Someone in some book that I read somewhere that was smarter than me said that the kasaki is the part that you show the world. If this is the part they show the world, then it's adequate, but not necessarily zazzy. I think it lacks zazz. I want it to be a nice, crisp, awesome shape, and frankly, it just reminds me a bit of Metalocalypse. Put more zazz on it, damn it. The trick about this big bastard is that it's a relatively expensive production katana, and it's fair to want something snazzy. This particular example shown in the photo had a damage tip or something goofed up with it. Who the fuck knows what's wrong with it, but the point is, you'd kind of expect some more fine detail, and the Oni doesn't necessarily have it, but it is still really awesome. These pieces also look pretty bitchin' when they're customized. I've had a few experiences with customized Oni katanas myself. This one was customized by Fred Lohman Company and had some sort of goldy handle on it. Frankly, I like the black a little bit better, but it is still pretty bitchin' looking in a different color. I'm sure you can think of some other color and make a mental image, and still, the Oni has a certain sense of awesomeness that comes from all the goddamn demon faces all over it. No matter what color you put on it, it's still a big blade full of fucking demons, and that's pretty hard to make not awesome by any color you put on it. Purple, pink, or polka dots, it's still gonna be full of fucking demon faces. Unless you put not demon faces on it, in which case it would probably be significantly less awesome. One of the characteristics that most people love about the Oni Katana is the fittings, because they look so awesome. And if you took that away, it'd just be a really big blade with less character. Anyway, I have to give Hanwei some props on the fittings overall, because they nailed that sumbitch. Anyway, on to another example of customization, black. I think this color probably looks the best, and you can see that this one is done in leather. Now, the one that was redone didn't necessarily get it less big black dildo-y, but at the same time you can get a feeling for the overall finesse. The leather, I think, looks spectacular, and I can't think of a better example or color combination to make it look better. If you're gonna do black on black with some blacky black, then at least make it super awesome black, rather than some sort of not or less awesome black. Well, anyway, that's my 1 cent. It's not really even 2 cents, it's just 1. Now I'm going to show you the Oni Katana in action. First, I want to outline the blade. Notice the Kasaki and how it's not fucked up yet. That's to come. Before beginning the test, I should outline that the sword was purchased second-hand. It was not purchased from Hanwei directly, though it was purchased with my own money. That said, it should be noted that as I'm whacking this into things, I'm risking my own funds, and nobody is paying me to do it. What I would like you to notice about this cut is that I'm cutting into the stand. This is not good. I'm doing something wrong. I am not a good martial artist, and I am not pretending to be one. That said, what I am doing is hitting a large wooden pole in the stand. You can see the force with I execute the cut, which is not a very good cut, but nevertheless, here's my dumb face examining something. Here's what's going through my head. That didn't look good. I wonder what happened. Did I hit the stand? Yeah, sure did. Well, that's not good. Oh, jeez.
That's not good. Well, I better put it in the camera. I'll walk over here.
The reason I emphasize this point is that L6 or Banite has developed a reputation for being profoundly durable. That said, one would expect that it would not become so damaged after hitting a wooden stand. As you can see by the test, it wasn't fucked up when I started, it was fucked up after I hit the stand. Was it my fault? Yes, absolutely. But would you expect it to be damaged by such an activity? Some would say yes, some would say no, and any practitioner would tell me that I'm a dumbass for hitting the stand, and rightly so. Other than getting fucked up on a piece of wood, what I can tell you about the Oni Katana is that it feels much more nimble than it should for its size and weight. It's a big bitch, and that said, you would expect it to handle like one. However, the Oni Katana feels relatively light and balanced in the hand. Every example that I've had of the Oni Katana has felt more lively than I would expect it to, and I have to give them props on that type of balance and whatever. I don't know what honestly makes it feel that way, but it does feel real good in the hand. To clarify, for you non-sword aficionados, feeling real good in the hand is not a metaphor or sexual euphemism, referencing masturbation or anything else like that. What it means is that the sword feels lively and comfortable to manipulate. The Oni Katana is relatively comfortable to cut with. I didn't think it was necessarily easier or better than something much less expensive like the Practical XL, but what I can argue with is that the Oni Katana looks much cooler. In other cutting sessions, I've had better luck cutting with the Oni Katana. In this one, it didn't look like it did overly well, but I would say it performed similar to any other Hanwei XL geometry that I've had. Not necessarily better or worse, relatively similar. It should, however, be noted that the XL-style geometry can be purchased in the Hanwei Practical XL for around $200 on Cult of Athena, as where this bitch cost around $1,100 on the same website. At least that's the case right now, as of 2015. Personally, I like the look of the Oni Katana. I think it has a spectacular theme, and I can't think of an example that Hanwei has made that I like more. Also, the blade. While it has its characteristics that some may like or not like, I think it has a presence that is overall pretty cool. However, most of that is subjective and is based on just the way it looks. You may like it or not like it, and that's all based on personal preference. What I can say is that the blade performed any better. I didn't do any kind of overly intensive destructive testing, but you can see from the cutting I did that the blade was working or in good condition before I started, and was significantly deformed, or rather damaged or edge rolled, when I hit that wooden pole. Now, while that was not necessarily intentional and was poor performance and not good and shouldn't be done, I wouldn't expect that the blade would be damaged by it. I've seen 1045 swords take more of a beating before deforming or edge rolling than this Oni Katana did, and those retail for about $100 versus this bitch at $1,100. Now, personally, I like Hanwei. I think they make good products, and I don't want to be inflammatory. You should note that this was a second-hand blade. Perhaps it was a factory second without my knowledge, and it might not have been heat-treated properly. That's a possibility. Also, you should see the stand. It's compacted, beaten wood. Well, actually, I just heard myself say that out loud, beaten wood, and it didn't sound good. The point is that the stand that I hit has seen better days, and it might be wet, compacted, and it could be harder than the average wood. Still, the damage that it did is shown in these photos, and is relatively significant in my opinion. I wouldn't like to see the edge deformed by a cut that wasn't really overpowered, hitting a simple wooden stand. Now, that's just my personal opinion. I'm no expert. But you can see for yourself the cut that damaged the blade, as well as the target that it hit. You can also see from some of my other videos that swords don't necessarily break super easy or damage super easy, so this one kinda caught me off guard. If I had to rate it and give it a star, I would still say it's awesome. I'm glad I bought it. I love the Oni Katana. It's super cool. I'd like to see it stand up to be a little bit more durable, and I hope that this is just an isolated example where one had a bad heat treatment.